Dick Cheney is criticizing Donald Trump in a campaign ad for his daughter's Congresswoman Liz Cheney re-election campaign. In the ad, Cheney calls the former president a coward.
There has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. He tried to steal the last election using lies and violence to keep himself in power after the voters had rejected him. He is a coward. A real man wouldn't lie to his supporters. He lost his election, and he lost big.
This is just the latest in a string of back and forth between members of the Republican Party. Now, to join me and talk about what the heck is going on in the GOP, we have a strategist, Doug Heye, and he's here to discuss what is happening. Good morning, Doug.
Morning.
So, strong words. And I don't know if you could see the video, but Dick Cheney looked like he really meant business in that video. What do you make of the former VP calling out the former president when they're both in the same party?
Yeah, look, that's a video that's gone pretty viral pretty quickly. And one of the things that we know from the Cheney family is they don't mince words. Certainly isn't what happened in this case. And, you know, she has a very tough primary and is probably going to lose it in Wyoming. So this isn't about this primary or 2022 per se. This is about moving forward as a Republican Party and what the Republican Party will be. Whether or not she runs for president, she's made it clear that she intends to be a loud voice and a powerful voice over the coming years.
So you expect Liz Cheney to lose her race in Wyoming, and she was part of the Republican leadership, and you expect her to not even be in Congress soon?
Well, it's a tough primary, and you know her focus has been on the January 6th committee. It's obviously been on Donald Trump. That doesn't put you in great stead with voters in Republican primaries. And the Republican primary voter is a very different set of voters than what we see in a general election. So she's got a very uphill battle, but it's one she's created and is not shying away from.
Well, so she has picked a fight with Donald Trump very, very publicly. In Virginia, the governor's race there, Glenn Youngkin didn't pick a fight with Trump, and he really minimized him from the campaign. And then obviously you have Kari Lake, who has embraced Donald Trump, and it's like when she opens her mouth, Donald Trump's voice comes out. So what is it that is the right strategy here for Republican candidates?
Well, it really depends on what their end goal is. You know, again, for Cheney, this isn't necessarily about winning, later this month in her primary or winning in November. This is a broader, more long-term fight. And the stark language that you hear from former Vice President Cheney, certainly speaks to this isn't just about a primary. He doesn't talk about, Cheney's opponent. He's not really talking about voting in August. This is a broader set of issues. Youngkin is trying to find a different path, and I think successfully has found a different path for those Republicans who weren't necessarily Donald Trump first and foremost, but trying to operate in that space that Trump's created.
Do you expect, in the general election, I guess, do you expect these Republicans to be able, that have been endorsed by Trump, to be able to win elections? It seems like currying favor with Donald Trump and getting his endorsement was very important to win primaries, but can they win general elections? Or is this too extreme for the everyday independent voter?
It really depends on the candidate and the state and what positions they've advocated. These candidates who spend more and more time talking on conspiracy theories or looking backwards to 2020 and arguing those results and fake elections and all of this, they're going to have a tougher time telling voters, well, this is what I want to do to move my state, my congressional district, the country forward. These are the legislative priorities I have and so forth. But if you're a Ted Budd in North Carolina, where you won your primary in part because of Trump's help, but you won it pretty convincingly, you've got a good path forward moving into November. If you're Kari Lake, you won your primary by 3 points. That's not a resounding victory. It's going to be harder for you to unite the party and then also talk to independent voters, maybe moderate voters who are looking for real solutions of what's going to happen in their state or in the country on what those policies may be. A lot of extreme Republican candidates, a lot of election deniers are going to have problems come November.
Well, and when it comes to that, I'm curious if this is a long-term problem for Republicans, because we see a lot of infighting among the Democratic Party, but this is some big-time infighting in the Republican Party. Is this just something that will remain infighting and they will unite around a Republican candidate in general elections come November, or is this something that could chase a more moderate wing of the party, and I'm talking about voters here, away to the point where they might even vote for Democrats?
Well, and it's not even a question of conservative versus moderate, right? Because Liz Cheney is one of the most conservative members of Congress. Her American Conservative Union rating, which is the organization that put CPAC together, would rate her at the top of the pack for Republicans, and yet certainly they're not supporting her. But what we've seen is, if you go past the past 12 years, we've left a lot of Senate seats on the table because Republicans nominated in Delaware, Missouri, where we almost had an extreme candidate who couldn't win, nominated again this time, Indiana, Nevada. 4 Senate seats we've left on the table, congressional seats, gubernatorial seats, because the person who was nominated just couldn't bring it home in November. And that's a very real concern for Republicans moving forward to November. They could still have a very good night, and certainly in the House more so, but they've nominated a lot of candidates who are going to have problems in November.